Something just popped up for me and it said live on YouTube.
We're gonna try YouTube.
Ah, nice.
That's right. Live on YouTube.
Yay.
Okay, so I'm gonna share this on Facebook.
Okay.
Cool. And then you guys can share it as well.
Awesome.
Can nobody hold us down?
That's right.
Live on YouTube. Oh, wait, okay, let me spell that right. Live online. Open mic number 5. Live on YouTube. Boom.
Okay.
And post. It's uploading. At least
Awesome.
you know when it's up. And then we're gonna get going again. And
Nice.
we're gonna, yes, okay, should be up. Should be good to go. So if you want to share that.
Aha.
Are we up?
YouTube.
Yeah, on YouTube. We're gonna make this work. We're bringing it to the people. We're bringing it to the masses.
Bring the music to the people.
That's right. That's right. Bringing it. With, oh, Tiffany left us. But with Spencer and Taylor and Allison.
Woot. I'm just telling everybody on my little
cool
Facebook team.
Excellent. Yes. Tell everybody in the comments of the other one. Dun, da, da, da.
Okay.
We're back on, this time on YouTube.
Awesome.
All right. So, given that we are now back, who's next? Raise your hand. Okay, Allison.
I'll
you
go
are
next.
up. You are up.
Okay.
Hi, Allison. How are you?
Hi, James. I'm good. How are you?
Long time.
Indeed.
Long time. I'm doing well. So, yeah, why don't you tell us who you are, where you're at? I'd love to know that too. And all of that. There's an interesting story of why I asked that here in just a minute. But then you can tell us who you are, and then go ahead.
Hey everybody, I'm Allison Stanford, and I used to live in Fort Worth, but now I live in Austin. That's where I am now. And when I lived in Fort Worth, James and I collaborated on some of his art pieces, and I lent my voice to his art. And it's pretty cool to go see your art, James, in a museum and like hear your own voice in a like museum exhibit, which was cool. And yeah, thanks for doing this. I am now in Austin. I was working at a restaurant, but I am not working at a restaurant right now. We all got laid off. But right before I got to Austin, I was in Bolivia in South America. And I was on a Fulbright grant and researching classical Bolivian art song from the 20th century and living composers who are writing right now. And I guess this quarantine, I'm making no money right now, but I have plenty of time to work on my research project. So If you want to follow me on those adventures, you can follow me on Instagram. My handle is Allison Soprano, or here on Facebook, Allison Stanford. And I will be hopefully publishing a really cool collection of songs in book form and in recording form through the next year. And also tonight, well, I'm classically trained as an operatic soprano, but I thought, from a living room and playing my own piano music to accompany myself, tonight I would sing some jazz standards, and just some of the ones that I've loved since I was a kid.
Very cool. Looking forward to it. Yes. And I want to talk more about all the stuff that you're doing. And,
okay.
Yeah. Let's hear it.
All right. Well, I'm going to take out my headphones so I can't hear you because I want to play from back there, but I'll be back on the headphones whenever I'm done playing the song.
Okay. Sounds good. Allison Stanford.
So this song is called Tenderly, and it came on my radar when I was a middle school age girl, and I loved Rosemary Clooney, this singer who was really popular in the 50s. And this song was written in 1946. It's by Walter Gross with lyrics by Jack Lawrence, and it's super romantic, and I hope you enjoy it. The evening breeze caress the trees tenderly. The trembling trees embrace the breeze tenderly. And I came wandering by and lost in a sigh. The shore was kissed by sea and mist tenderly. I can't forget how two hearts met breathlessly. Arms open wide and close me inside. You took my lips, you took my love, so tell me. Wandering by and lost in a silent the shore was kissed by sea and mist tenderly. I can't forget how two hearts met breathlessly.
opened their eyes and closed me inside. You took my lips, you took my love, so tenderly. There we go.
Hi again. So that was Tenderly.
Awesome. That was great.
Thank you.
Yes.
It was so good.
Aw, thanks, you guys.
So good.
That was so fun.
Awesome. Yeah, we're still sticking with YouTube. YouTube is looking good. And so
Awesome.
that came through. Allison, I'd love to hear more about your grant and how your time in Bolivia went.
Well,
tell me what was the most interesting facts? What was the most interesting thing that kind of just like made you just, yeah, I don't know.
Well, I met so many composers and singers and artists in the like classical music community down in La Paz. I was mostly in La Paz, which is the capital city of Bolivia. And there's this one lady I met who was just incredible. And she is now 95 and she lives in La Paz. And I heard about her because she is one of the most like well-known classical singers from like the 1960s in Bolivia. And I got to talk with her for a whole afternoon, and her son Luis was in town. And I just got to talk with her about like this kind of Renaissance period in the 1950s, where classical music was really strong and the community was really strong in La Paz, and there were composers working. And she talked about like how she fell in love with her husband, and he was a violinist and a composer, and they were really good friends with another composer in the city, Gustavo Navarre. And they had these salons where they would just get together and play classical music. And her husband wrote music just for her, and she sang the classical music that was being composed, where it was like a fusion of European traditions with some Bolivian traditional music fused in there. So it really produced some beautiful pieces, and she got to premiere a lot of them. And she had the voice of like a Maria Callas, a great dramatic concert soprano. She never went to Europe to pursue a career because she, back in the day, when you fall in love and get married in Bolivia, typically you just focus on your home life. But she kept singing through it all, even though she didn't pursue an international career that she could have. She made some recordings. I'm in the process of getting those so I can hear some of the music she recorded back then. And
those, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
exciting.
In talks with her son, and both of her sons are musicians, and one of them is also a composer. So I'm looking at all of his songs. And her name is Emilia Rocha de Ibanez. And her husband, who passed away really young, was named Antonio Ibanez. And that story and that whole like afternoon, just like reminiscing and looking at old newspaper clippings with her, was just the coolest thing. And I really had a lot of afternoons like that with people. Like so many composers just let me talk their ear off and gave me their music. And so now I'm in the process of like narrowing it down and seeing what songs like I would want to record, and then which ones I'd want to put in my anthology.
Wow. What a dream.
It was incredible. And also I
How
worked at the
amazing.
conservatory down there. So the whole time I was also teaching voice lessons and also trying to pass along information about the Fulbright program to the students there because they can use it as non-US citizens to come to the US and study. So it was a busy trip, but it was a blast.
Yeah. Wow. Sounds like a blast. That's amazing. Wow. So cool. We could talk a long time about all the
Yeah.
Fulbright stuff. That's so cool. Do you want to do one more for us?
Yeah, definitely. This one is gonna be, I'll say, let's fall in love because
I like that one.
if you're single and you're living alone, you might have to like have a star-crossed lovers talking through the internet kind of
Right.
romance. But if you're living with your significant other like me, it's like a little extended staycation honeymoon. So
Honeymoon. Yeah.
let's fall in love. Just bear with me while I open my songbook here. Okay, so this one is by Ted Koehler and Harold Arlen. It's another classic jazz standard that I love singing these songs. Here we go. I have a feeling, it's a feeling I'm concealing. I don't know why. It's just a mental, incidental, sentimental alibi. But I adore you. So strive for you. Why go on stalling? I am falling. Love is calling. Why be shy? Let's fall in love. Why shouldn't we fall in love? Our hearts are made for it. Let's take a chance. Why be afraid of it? Let's close our eyes and make our own paradise. Little we know of it, still we can try to make a go of it. We might have been made for each other, to be or not to be. Let our hearts discover. Let's fall in love. Why shouldn't we fall in love? Now is the time for it while we are young. Let's fall in love. Thank you, guys. This has been so much fun.
Yeah. Thank you for being here so much.
Thanks
Cool.
for having me.
Everybody on YouTube, please, go and we got your Venmo up there. We've got follow Allison Soprano on Instagram so that you can find the cool places that she's at and what she's doing with this amazing work in Bolivia. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, James. Thanks, everybody.
Excellent. All right. Be well. And
you too.
Thanks. All right, Spencer.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Doing all right. How are y'all?
Doing well.
Good. All things considered, I guess. It's a weird thing to say now.
Sure. No, of course. Yeah. Where are you Where are you at right now?
So I am in the Kansas City area. I live a little bit south of like main Kansas, or Kansas City proper, as they like to call it. But yeah,
Okay.
we are currently in the 30-day stay-at-home ruling and stuff.
Right.
And
Right.
tough to get people to follow along with that kind of thing, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's wild. Well, cool. Well, let's hear. You got a couple for us, or you got one?
I'll
What
probably
do you
just do one. I was thinking, I don't really have anything. So I had some shows booked through like April, May, and June, but they were chamber stuff. So we were going to do like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Louis Andriesen's Hout, which is like an insanely hard. Check it out. It's really cool. 10 minutes. It's like you have a saxophone, marimba, electric guitar, and keyboard, and they're all offset by 1/16 note, no slower than like 98. So it's like insanely hard. So that,
Love
kind of
it.
dodged a little bit of a bullet on that one, but at the same time, it's also a bummer, But yeah, so I didn't have anything really ready, so I thought I'd just set a timer and do some free improvisation, and we'll just kind of
That's
see
great. That
what
sounds
happens.
great.
with it.
Yeah, definitely. For some context here, tell
Yeah.
everybody where are you a composer, or what's tell us a little bit about that. Give us some
Sure.
background on who you are.
I studied piano for most of my life. Did some academic study in that, and then I got kind of tired of playing Liszt mostly, and decided to kind of start working on writing my own stuff. Did some study in composition. Then we moved to Kansas City mostly just to kind of immerse into the new music scene here. So I do stuff with people around town. I'm part of the Kansas City Electronic Arts or Music and Arts Alliance, KCEMA. You can find them on Instagram, Facebook. They do a lot of cool stuff. In fact, we were having a show where we commissioned, I think, like 5 Kansas City composers, or I think they were all Kansas City-based composers. And Load Bang, new music ensemble from New York, was coming in to play all those pieces. Yeah, that's not happening anymore. But we do some cool stuff with that. And then I've got some people in town we play with, sometimes do some improvisation, do some new works, things like that, kind of support the local arts, all that good stuff.
Very cool. Very cool.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
New music in Kansas City.
New music in Kansas. Not all jazz.
That's right.
Though they do have, they got a great jazz here too.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Okay, well let's we'll talk a little bit after. I'd love.
Sure.
I'm looking forward to this. Okay.
Is this? You guys can hear the keyboard. We're good.
Yes.
Cool. All right. So I haven't really figured out how to like tell people you're done without just being like,
It's free improv. That's how it goes. That's how it goes.
No idea where that's gonna go. Yeah, it's fun though.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. That was great. That was really good. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I'd love to know, you know, every composer kind of has a school that they come from, right? Or like some major influences. What are yours on especially when you're you know, yeah, composing and when you're free improving?
Yeah. It's really weird because like it's probably not that weird. Every time I say something's really weird, it tends to be like, it was like, yeah, no, it's my story as well. I was like, but you know, I grew up kind of in the classical piano world, like I said. And so I think, you know, especially when I was composing early on, I mean, the first thing I ever like actually wrote down, you know, I actually played it for a guy who was a free improv guy and composer in New York. He's got a group called 10th Intervention and Free Sound Ensemble, different things. He does a lot of stuff there. And I remember it was like a master class. This is when I was actually working on a piano degree. And he was like, okay, piece is cool. Can tell you listen to like Debussy and that's awesome. So instead of talking about your piece, what we're going to do is I'm going to make you improvise. And like for somebody that was more geared towards classical piano, I was like, no, you got to be kidding me. You want me to not know what I'm about to play in front of somebody else? Like, that's ridiculous. You know, so that was kind of groundbreaking. His name's Dorian Wallace. Check his stuff out. It's really good. And then like, I don't know, I just listened to a lot of different kinds of music. Gotten into some conversations with some people about like Wu-Tang Clan as being, you know, kind of an, you know, the way they pass back and forth and things like that, you know, is
huge,
super
huge.
help.
Yeah,
it's especially with improvising and stuff.
Just like so much. There's so much there to unpack with Wu-Tang Clan and how it kind of establishes itself in the avant-garde. And,
right. For sure. And then like, you know, I listen to your standard rock and roll stuff. I got really into John Cage a couple of years ago. John Zorn as well. Those guys, I listen to John Zorn's improvisations and things like that a lot. Just kind of, you know, figuring out with different projects. One of the things I think I really liked was there's an interview of John Zorn, and he was talking about kind of like your musical community and how, you know, when you develop a musical community as you go around, and that's where you base your the importance of what you're doing, like kind of like you know, the audience is one thing, but then like who's in your musical community, like how are you guys vibing together, are they vibing with what you're doing, but then also talking about like when you're working with different people. So if you're working with someone who's a classical musician, you're probably not going to leave, you know, you're not going to do an improv score, you're not going to do a game score or anything like that. You're probably going to have more notated stuff. If you're working with a bunch of jazz improvisers, why not throw improvisation in there? If you do an only notated score, you might be kind of missing out on what could have come up with that piece. I think like hearing that in the interview was really a big, you know, like moment. So that was kind of cool.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. So how do people find your stuff?
I have a website that I rarely check, but it does have an email deal. I got Instagram where I'm on and off good about posting stuff. You can add me on Facebook too. I'm not super active on that. I'm actually looking at trying to figure out, like I have really late in the game on getting on like Bandcamp and doing that kind of thing. I really gear myself more towards live kind of stuff because that's more, I enjoy that a lot. You know, I like the vibe of the live, but since that's not happening now, you know, maybe you'll see a lot more stuff. Instagram's probably the best place at this point.
Awesome.
There's a link on there to the website as well, and that's got some recordings and things like that.
There you go. And that I think I'll I haven't put that in the YouTube yet, but I will do it in the comments there.
Cool.
It's Spencer_G_Perkins.
Yeah.
For anybody listening. That's great. Yeah. Wonderful. And then follow him so that you can find out when and where he's playing in the Kansas City, or otherwise I'd love for you to come to
yeah, I need to. I grew up in Arlington, but my family moved all down to Houston now. So when I come visit, it's generally down that area. But...
Oh, shout out to the Houston new music scene.
Right, there you go. They got a good one.
Dave Dove and all those guys down there.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. And
sure.
Yeah, everybody make sure you follow and support, and put your Venmo down there in the comments and YouTube. So everybody donate, because you know we're all working musicians here, you know, working artists, and we're trying to make it through this thing, because sure as hell the government's not going to help. But that's a different story. This is about the arts. So yeah, thank you for being here.
Cool.
Cool. Does anybody have one more in them? I'm opening the floor. You're more than welcome to. Otherwise, we can close it out. Yeah? Okay. All right, Taylor. Let's bring it, Taylor. Wait, there you go. I got you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Taylor Davidson closing it out. What you got for us?
Okay. This song is a song I wrote, and it's called Romeo. So I wrote this one a while ago, and it's kind of taking a spin on like the classic Romeo and Juliet, but it's kind of like taking that if you're not Romeo and Juliet in a situation, you know, it's like, you know, and you're not. But anyways, it's just kind of like looking in, and it's like, oh, there's one love, and like, I don't even know. But so this is Romeo. I woke up bright on a Monday morning, and I look out my window, see the world still turning, and I look in the mirror, mascara on my cheeks, because of you it's been there all week, and I wash my face with the water from the sink, and I look at the place that your picture used to be, and I put on my lipstick, her favorite shade of pink, and now you realize looks better on me. Better on me, better on me, better on me, 'cause you're not my Romeo and I'm not Juliet. Glad that you watch your two silhouettes, so many things that you will regret. Hope was worth it for Juliet. Ooh, ooh. Ooh. works a bar to an suspecting girl in exchange for her heart, and I believed you when you said you loved me, but you didn't mention the boy down the street. Now I'm making my way down to your house, and I took the necklace and I threw it on the ground. Corner of lies and dishonesty. Know your story ends in tragedy. 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 'Cause you're not my Romeo and I'm not your Juliet. Cry in the patio, watch your two silhouettes. So many things that you should know. What was worth it for Romeo? Ooh, ooh, ooh. You're not my Romeo and I'm not your Juliet. Grab the patio, watch your two silhouettes. So many things that you should know. Hope was worth it for Romeo. Ooh, ooh, ooh. That was Romeo.
Love it. That's great. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for
Okay.
having me. This was so
Of
much fun. I
course.
loved getting to hear everyone.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Thank you all for for being here. And anybody watching on YouTube right now, please go and donate to all these wonderful artists: Allison Stanford, Spencer Perkins, Taylor Davidson, and Tiffany Costello, who goes by House Keys Music. Oh, very good. Wonderful stuff. Thank you guys for being here. And yeah, I will see you tomorrow. I'm doing this again tomorrow. And every day at 8 p.m. We're doing it. So, this is it. So feel free to join back up at some point, any point. If you're not doing anything, we're doing this every day. So cool. I really enjoyed all of it. And that's all we got. Thank you. Bye.